Tonight on Torts Reports.
Good evening. I'm your host, Brecken Beck, and this is the news. Old man McGee is being forced to pay a large settlement to Brad this morning after an aggravated assault. Brad, while walking down the street one day, noticed old man McGee carrying a bucket. Brad then made a comment on this man's bucket, saying it is old, rusty, ragged, and decrepit, and should no longer be used. McGee, furious by this, then talked to his nephew later on that night, saying, "Oh, that guy, man, he really upset me, that Brad guy. I'm gonna beat him over with this bucket, and he'll see it looks better after his face has kissed it." So the next day, McGee waited for Brad to walk down the street again, and then proceeded to beat him with the bucket. While on trial, however, Brad did admit that the bucket did look better after his face had kissed it. So that's good, I guess. In school news, a teacher has been charged with battery after unwanted contact with a student. The student, who was doing math, asked for help from the teacher, and then proceeded to say to the teacher, "Do not touch me, for I bruise like a peach." The teacher called him out on this bluff, citing, "Humans and peaches are completely different things entirely and should not be related to one another." The teacher then proceeded to put his hands on the student's shoulders, and sure enough, he bruised like a peach. Oh. Finally, the bongo case has came to a close this morning. Glasgow, a local hippie, started a bongo circle in the plaintiff's front yard. After the plaintiff asked him multiple times to leave, Glasgow then decided to just stay there. However, over time, the bongo circle grew and grew into a bongo concert. During this bongo concert, however, the hippies proceeded to cut down the trees and make a bonfire out of it. Then, the hippies broke into the plaintiff's home, stole all of the plaintiff's chips and lighters. So let this be a lesson. Don't start a revolution in another person's front yard. Oh well, in nuisance news this evening, the lighthouse man has been caught for his devious acts. The lighthouse man, who got his licks off of shining a very bright flashlight into people's homes, has finally been caught by a homeowner this evening. When asked why he did this, he said, "I should not be heralded as a nuisance, but I should be heroed. I should be held as a hero for getting rid of all the moths in these people's homes." When the homeowners confronted the lighthouse man, he then proceeded to shine the flashlight in their eyes and made buzzing noises. While in court, though, the homeowners, who had to come in and, plea, turns out they were moths. So we'll see how this case turns out. In business news today, Johnny B.G. Baride has been found guilty of interference with contractual relations. Johnny B.G. Baride, a consultant, consulted with a basket company that made deals with an egg company over their baskets. He said, quote, "This egg company will pay more for your baskets." So, the basket company then broke their ties with the plaintiff's egg company, and the egg company then had to put all their eggs in one basket and could no longer transport their eggs. The moral here, I guess, is don't mess with other people's business, and, more importantly, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well. In deceit news, Deceit Pete has finally been caught in his scam. Deceit Pete owned a company that made plushies. When his company was doing a little bad, he said to his friend, he said, "Hey, let me get a loan and help out my company because I'm not making a lot of money." This was a misrepresentation, however. He was doing pretty alright. That money that was loaned out to him, however, is all gone. He spent it all. When asked what he spent it on, he said, "Why, I spent it on plush stuffing for my plushies." However, while under investigation, receipts were turned up showing that he actually had gave all the money to a Nigerian prince claiming that he was a long-lost relative. So it seems that Deceit Pete has been deceived. In thievery today, conversion, Butterfinger Larry has been caught stealing monkeys from a zoo. He claimed that the monkeys were his because he had a 96% gene similarity to the monkeys. However, he did not know that that is for all human beings. Oddly enough, huh? The zoo then used this argument and was given however, before the zoo could continue to sue, they had to actually find the monkeys, yeah? So a search warrant was granted, and while police were investigating the property, they found a shocking amount of David Hasselhoff memorabilia. Even more shocking, however, is when the monkeys were finally found, they were all dead, stuffed in one barrel. So this goes back to a previous moral. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. In good news, Gaben Alinkovich is being given a large settlement for false imprisonment. Gaben Alinkovich was being accused of being part of a communist party and giving in to propagandated attacks on the city. The police department was being heavily scrutinized for their failure to find the culprits, so they looked around on one of the recent crime scenes and found that Gaben Alinkovich had lived nearby. While in interrogation, the interrogators falsely claimed that they had video evidence of Gaben Alinkovich committing the act. Gaben Alinkovich, knowing this was false evidence, proceeded to say, "No, that's not true, that's not even real." However, police then put him in custody until he confessed. However, while in custody, another Communist Party act crime was committed, and Alinkovich was then released. After being released, he found a lawyer and proceeded to sue the department. So, for all you communists out there, keep going because it's making other people money. And, well, let's head over to my correspondent Brecken Beck with Celebrity Watch. Hey Brecken, how are you? Hello there, Brecken. I'm doing quite good. That's good, that's good. Have you seen any celebrities out and about? Well, there hasn't been any celebrities out here yet, but, you know, you know, that Norman Bate guy, he really sucks, man. That guy really sucks. Golly, oh geez, my gosh. That guy really sucks. He sucks so much. I bet he could suck a golf ball through a garden hose. That guy sucks. Oh geez, he sucks. He really is my goat. He sucks so much that in 1998, he went to a liquor store in the city. And he purchased 2 bottles of Jack. And then he left the liquor store and went in further into the city. Then, while further into the city, he stopped at a gun store. And he purchased a rifle, a couple of magazines, and a lot of ammunition. The gun store owner didn't really think much of it. He had a clean record. He was a good man. So he purchased the weapons and off he went, further off into the city. While going even further off into the city, he came across an orphanage. And he stood at the front door of that orphanage. And he opened up one of the bottles of Jack, and he downed the bottle in 2 swigs. And then he walked into the orphanage. And he stood in the lobby for a minute, and he stared at all the kids and the workers. And he opened up the other bottle of Jack, and he took a swig. He went further into the complex until he stood in front of all the children and workers and the security, and he reached for his back, and he grabbed the rifle, and he let loose. He let it swing like a farmer would with hay. And like hay, they fell before him. First the workers, then the security, and by God, it pains me to say this, but even the children. And this went on until he stood alone in the building, in the blood and bodies of orphans and workers. He looked up to the sky, and a tear came to his eye, and he was overcome with shame. But upon further thought, that wasn't a tear of shame. It was a tear of pride, and that shame was overcome with pride. Well, I guess we gotta move on with the news after that. All right. An invasion of privacy news this evening. Peeping Kringle has been caught for releasing multiple actresses' photos and addresses. The Universal Actors Group started an investigation on Kringle and found that he had posted multiple actors' addresses and photos on multiple online forums. When asked why or how he did it, he simply said, "Well, their windows was open, so I simply flew in." When subpoenaed to the court, turns out that Peeping Kringle is actually a bird. When asked how he has all this cognitive skill, he said, "I was made in a lab by scientists, which proves my theory that birds aren't real." And in final news this evening, Nicki Minaj and her husband have been accused of... What's that? Huh? Oh boy. Breaking news this evening, Torts Reports is being sued by Norman Bates for defamation and infliction of emotional distress. Norman Bates has received multiple death threats and phone calls after the news report that was given this evening, and says that he can no longer sleep at night and must stay awake watching the front lawn to make sure that these attacks are not carried through. When asked to comment, he said, why would I talk to you? I'm suing you in the first place. You have no sympathy for people, and you're a damn psychopath." Well, Norman Bates, I'm not a damn psychopath. I'm a reporter. So, that ends the news tonight. I can't help but feel a little bad for all these people, because, well, they had to lose money. So, we're going to be sending one of them on a lucky vacation with them and their family to Cancun. And the winner is... Congratulations, the Lighthouse Man. You and whoever the hell you got will be given an all-paid vacation to Cancun. So enjoy those beaches or whatever. Anyways, remember, you're nobody unless somebody loves you. And that somebody is me. Good night, everybody.